Success is not a destination, it's a response. And that response is triggered by one fundamental force, your why. Before we speak of attracting wealth, opportunity, or recognition, we must understand the engine that drives it all. Why do you want success? Why now? Why does it matter to you, specifically? Until that is clear, no vision board, affirmation, or manifestation practice will hold real power. People often chase results without asking themselves what those results are supposed to mean. If you seek success for approval, it will feel hollow. If you seek it to escape fear, you'll carry that fear into every achievement. But when you seek success because you want to grow, to contribute, to build something bigger than yourself, that's when the law of attraction begins to respond in meaningful ways. The law of attraction doesn't operate on your surface level desires. It listens to your core intention. When your intention is aligned with something true, personal, and emotionally resonant, your actions become magnetic. Your words carry weight. Your presence begins to shift how others see and respond to you. A strong why doesn't come from a Pinterest quote or a podcast. It comes from paying attention to your life. What makes you come alive? What keeps you up at night? Not with anxiety, but with fire. What are you willing to struggle for over and over again because it just matters that much? That's where your why lies. When you are connected to your why, your focus sharpens. You stop getting distracted by what everyone else is doing. You stop chasing trends. You stop measuring yourself against people who aren't walking your path. Your path becomes yours. And because of that, the success you attract is built for you, not borrowed from someone else. The law of attraction responds best to clarity, and clarity starts with purpose. Purpose gives meaning to discipline. Purpose gives weight to patience. Without a why, hard work feels like suffering. With a why, hard work feels like investment. You cannot fake your why. You can repeat mantras all day, but if the belief behind them isn't authentic, the energy collapses. The law of attraction doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you mean. It measures your consistency, your alignment, your sincerity. And once you discover your why, you don't have to push so hard to get things moving. You're not forcing success anymore. You're becoming someone who attracts it. Because when you move with purpose, success notices. And it moves toward you. We've been taught to wait for proof before we commit. We want to see results before we invest belief. But success doesn't work that way. You don't wait for the world to confirm your potential. You decide it's real before anyone else sees it. Belief is not a reaction, it's a foundation. Every great achievement began in someone's imagination. It was invisible to everyone else, until belief made it visible. That belief wasn't backed by evidence, it was backed by conviction. And that conviction created momentum. Belief is not a feeling you hope will show up. It's a decision you make every day in the absence of guarantees. The law of attraction is not triggered by doubt. It's triggered by certainty. And that certainty isn't about knowing how it will happen. It's about trusting that it can. When you believe before you see, you set the frequency of your life. You act like the person you're becoming, not the person you're escaping. Most people say, I'll believe it when I see it. But those who attract success flip the formula. They say, I'll see it because I believe it. That belief changes their behavior. It changes the tone of their voice, the pace of their walk, the boldness in their choices. They're not pretending. They're practicing a future that's already real in their mind. Skepticism feels smart, but it rarely builds anything. The world doesn't reward people who wait to be convinced. It rewards those who move with conviction before the applause, before the permission, before the proof. When you act from belief, you're no longer chasing success. You're aligning with it. Doubt has a gravity of its own. If you carry it long enough, it weighs down every idea, every plan, every step forward. But belief is lighter. It creates lift. It gives you access to creativity, to courage, to resilience. It allows you to persist through the silence, the rejection, the uncertainty, because something deeper is already convinced. You don't need the full picture to start. You just need enough belief to take the first step. That belief becomes your evidence. It becomes your experience. The moment you believe, your perception changes. You begin to notice opportunities others ignore. You hear yes in places where others only hear no. Belief doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you shape it. It means you walk into the unknown with a mind already trained on success. It means you trust that what you're becoming matters more than what you've been told. Belief is not blind. It's visionary. And vision creates direction. The law of attraction doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to how you feel. You can recite affirmations 100 times a day, but if your emotions contradict your words, the emotion will always win. Emotion is energy in motion. It's the signal you're constantly broadcasting, whether you realize it or not. People try to manifest success through thought alone. They visualize, they write down goals, they build vision boards, but they skip the part that gives those tools power of emotional alignment. You must feel the success before it arrives. You must tune your inner state to the life you want, not the life you're trying to escape. Emotions are not just byproducts of your experience, they are creators of it. What you feel consistently becomes your atmosphere. That atmosphere either attracts growth or repels it. If you walk around in frustration, doubt, or fear, the world will mirror that back. But if you walk in gratitude, confidence, and expectancy, the mirror changes. You can't fake emotion for long. You can't pretend to be joyful while your internal world is saturated in resentment. The universe listens to your dominant vibration, not your performance. This is why self-awareness is essential. You have to notice when your emotions are working against you. Not judge them, but shift them. A gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions for attraction because it carries the frequency of already having. When you feel grateful before the success arrives, you're not just wishing, you're signaling readiness. And readiness is magnetic. It draws people, ideas, and momentum toward you without force. Success isn't attracted to needness. It's attracted to wholeness. When you feel desperate for something, your emotion says, I don't have it. And lack becomes your dominant signal. But when you feel abundant, even in small ways, you become a match for more. Emotion sets the terms of the transaction. This doesn't mean you suppress negative emotions. It means you understand their role. Emotions like fear or anger are signals, not identities. They are information, not your story. The more fluently you can move through emotions and back into alignment, the stronger your attraction becomes. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is shaped moment by the emotions you feed. Emotion is not decoration, it's the dial. And every result in your life is tuned to the frequency you've been broadcasting all along. Vague goals create vague outcomes. When you're unclear about what you want, the universe has nothing to respond to. Clarity is not just about knowing your desires. It's about defining them in a way that gives your energy direction. Without direction, even strong effort scatters. People often say they want success, but they can't describe what that success looks like. Is it freedom, recognition, impact, wealth, influence? Until you name it, your mind can't lock onto it, and your actions can't aim for it. Clarity is the trigger for momentum. It turns scattered thought into focused force. The law of attraction responds to specifics. It doesn't move because you wish for more money or a better life. It moves when your vision is precise enough to feel real. When you say, I want to earn $10,000 a month doing work I love by helping clients transform their health, the signal is sharp, and sharp signals get noticed. Clarity gives your mind a destination. Without it, you're just busy. You're reacting instead of creating. You might work hard, but you won't work smart. Clear goals filter distractions. They help you say no to what doesn't align. They make you decisive because the decision has already been made in your vision. When you have clarity, fear starts to fade. Uncertainty breeds hesitation, and hesitation blocks attraction. But when you see your vision clearly, when you can describe it, picture it, and feel it, your belief strengthens. And belief, paired with clarity, becomes a command, not a wish. Clarity also sharpens your language. When you speak with certainty, people respond differently. Doors open faster. Opportunities find you because you're not sending mixed signals. Your communication, verbal, energetic, behavioral, aligns into one consistent messaging. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. You don't need to know every step, but you do need to know the next one. And that next step should be aligned with a clear picture of what you're building. If you can't describe your future in a sentence, it's not clear enough to activate your mind, let alone attract the right support or resources. Most people are not held back by lack of talent. They're held back by a lack of clarity. They're waiting for something to happen before they decide what they want. But clarity is a decision. It's a discipline. And once you commit to it, everything else starts to organize around it. Everything you experience externally first began internally. Every invention, business, relationship, and transformation started as a thought. Thought is the blueprint of reality. It's not passive, it's formative. The more consistently you hold a thought, the more power it gains to shape your world. Most people underestimate the weight of their thoughts. They think thoughts are harmless unless acted upon, but that's not true. Thoughts generate emotion, and emotion drives behavior. And behavior, repeated over time, becomes the structure of your life. You're building your life right now with what you allow yourself to think about daily. The law of attraction doesn't respond to occasional thoughts. It responds to dominant ones. The thoughts you revisit, dwell on, and emotionally invest and create the signals you send. If your dominant thoughts are about limitation, scarcity, or fear, that becomes your set point. If they're about growth, possibility, and expansion, that becomes your new baseline. You can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can choose which ones to feed. The thoughts you intern the longest are the ones that grow roots. Just like a seed planted in fertile soil, your thoughts multiply when nurtured with attention and emotion. They begin to take form subtly and then obviously. Thoughts are creative energy. When directed with intention, they become mental rehearsals for real-world outcomes. Visualizing your goals, imagining success, and mentally rehearsing confidence are not fantasies. They're preparatory acts. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between vividly imagined experience and physical reality, which is why thought can change the body before the body even moves. Language reflects thought, and your words give thought structure. When you speak in certainty, when you write down your vision, when you tell your story with ownership, you are reinforcing the thought into something tangible. That's why vague thinking leads to vague results. because the signal never strengthens enough to materialize. You attract not what you occasionally think about, but what you habitually align with. It's not about wishing, it's about programming. The mind becomes what it practices. If you rehearse defeat, you will subconsciously seek it. If you rehearse success, your actions begin to reflect it, even before results show up. Repetition makes thought real, not instantly, but steadily. Over time, the thought you return to becomes your lens, and that lens becomes the filter through which you interpret people, choices, and events. That filter then reinforces the same thought again, creating a feedback loop that either lifts you or limits. Your gratitude is not a response to getting what you want. It's a strategy for becoming ready for more. Most people wait until something happens to feel thankful. But in the law of attraction, gratitude isn't an afterthought. It's a trigger. It tells the universe, I recognize value, and recognition always invites expansion. When you feel grateful for what you already have, you shift your attention from lack to abundance. And where your attention goes, your energy follows. Focusing on what's missing only amplifies scarcity. But focusing on what's working, even if it's small, creates momentum. That shift in emotional state opens the door to greater possibilities. Gratitude is an amplifier. It takes the good and makes it grow. It multiplies awareness, clarity, and emotional resilience. People who practice gratitude aren't naive. They're intentional. They understand that growth isn't just about pushing harder, it's about aligning better. And gratitude is one of the fastest ways to realign your internal state. It's easy to dismiss gratitude as soft or passive. But real gratitude is active. It changes your perception in real time. It teaches your mind to see solutions where others see problems. It tunes you into opportunities you might have ignored. And over time, it becomes a mental habit that trains your brain to notice what's possible instead of what's broken. You can't be grateful and bitter at the same time. You can't focus on appreciation and self-pity in the same breath. And gratitude reorganizes your priorities by pulling your attention toward what supports you, what's growing, what's already within reach. That reorganization changes how you move, how you speak, and how you receive. Gratitude isn't about settling. It's about signaling. When you're grateful for where you are, you're not saying you don't want more. You're saying, I'm grounded enough to grow. The universe responds to grounded energy. It trusts you with more when you've proven you can appreciate what you've already been given. In states of stress or fear, gratitude is a reset. It interrupts the spiral. It brings you back to the present and reminds you of your capacity, your support system, your past wins. And in that presence, you regain access to your creative power. You start to act from strength instead of survival. A person in gratitude radiates a different frequency. They don't just think differently, they attract differently. People are drawn to their energy. Opportunities find them more naturally, not because they're lucky, but because they're aligned with the growth they're asking for. Visualization sets the intention, but action sets the signal. You can dream, plan, and imagine, but none of it matters until you move. Action is what turns possibility into probability. It transforms desire from a passive hope into an active process. Without movement, the law of attraction has nothing to meet you with. Many people wait to feel ready before taking action. They wait for the fear to go away, for the timing to be perfect, for the universe to deliver a sign. But clarity comes from doing, not from waiting. Every step forward, no matter how small, creates feedback, adjusts your direction, and deepens your belief. Action is proof of belief. If you say you want something but don't move toward it, your energy is misaligned. But when you take steps, even imperfect ones, you show yourself and the universe that you're serious. That seriousness shifts your vibration. It builds credibility with yourself and invites synchronicity into your path. Momentum doesn't arrive, it's built. The hardest part is usually the beginning, when nothing seems to be happening. But consistent action, layered over time, compounds. The law of attraction isn't about instant wins, it's about consistent alignment. And consistency is only created through repeated movement. Action also clarifies vision. You may think you know what you want, but until you engage with the process, test, experiment, speak, build, you're only guessing. Taking action reveals what works and what doesn't. It helps refine your focus so your intention gets sharper, and sharper intentions attract faster. Every time you act, you expand your capacity. You move from theory to experience. You stop intellectualizing growth and start embodying it. Action stretches you, and in that stretch, you become more magnetic. Not because you're trying harder, but because your energy is becoming more congruent with the outcome you're pursuing. Waiting to feel inspired can become a trap. Real power comes from acting through resistance, from building trust in yourself through motion. Most breakthroughs happen after the point where most people stop. That's not coincidence. It's because movement creates access to the next level, not the other way around. There is no perfect strategy, only aligned movement. You don't need to know every step. You just need the next one with conviction. That movement changes your emotional state, which changes your frequency, which changes your environment. The law of attraction begins responding the moment you do. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Most people try to manifest from the outside in. They chase the job, the money, the relationship, hoping those things will make them feel fulfilled. But the law of attraction works from the inside out. You must first become the version of yourself who lives that reality. Frequency is not just a concept, it's a lived state. Every thought, emotion, behavior, and intention carries a frequency. And that frequency signals your readiness. If you want peace, you can't stay in chaos. If you want abundance, you can't live in resentment. You have to adjust your internal setting to match what you say you're calling in. Most people wait for external conditions to justify their inner state. They say, I'll feel confident when I'm successful, or I'll feel secure when I have more money. But that order is reversed. Success doesn't create confidence. Confidence attracts success. Security doesn't bring peace. Peace brings clarity that creates security. The frequency comes first. Think of yourself as a transmitter. If you're tuned to fear, you'll notice threats. If you're tuned to gratitude, you'll notice opportunities. Your mind becomes biased toward whatever frequency you practice most. And over time, that bias becomes your identity, your default setting. That setting is what the world responds to, not just your words. To shift frequency, you must practice being who you're becoming. Walk, speak, and make decisions from that higher identity, not the current circumstance. You can't become that version of yourself someday. You have to start becoming them now. Even if your environment hasn't caught up yet, embodiment precedes evidence. Your habits are signals. What you tolerate, how your time, how you treat your body. These are messages to the universe about what you believe you're worth. You can't attract high-level outcomes while living in low-level patterns. The vibration of your daily life must match the vibration of your vision. People feel your frequency before they understand your words. That's why some people walk into a room and change the energy instantly. They're not faking confidence, they're living in it. And because they are it, they don't need to chase. The most attractive people, opportunities, and ideas are drawn to alignment, not desperation. This is why becoming is more powerful than seeking. The more you align your thoughts, actions, and emotions with the energy of what you want, the less you have to force anything. You become the gravitational center of outcomes you used to chase,